And I started realizing when I was getting invited to the shows that I was the person that was bringing the most audience, but I was being presented as the opener. And I was also noticing that these bands that I have to open for, even though I'm giving them all this audience, were getting paid more than me. And on top of that, I have to bring my son and be uncomfortable and like anxious when I'm performing because I have to keep looking that my son is okay, you know? So I created a manager that existed only in my email. I created a new email and I signed it as Richard Ashcroft, which is the singer of a band called The Verb that was very popular in the, early 2000s or 90s. And so when people would want to get a hold of me, I would be like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to play your show. Talk to Richard. Forward the email. And then Richard, I would just like look like, how do British people talk? And this is a man, and this is a British man, and he just has 2 short sentences for you. It's going to be $5,000, and we're going to need you to pay for the nanny, and we're going to need you to give us all of this plane tickets. Take it or leave it, you know. And people were doing it.
Welcome once again to Arts Across America. My name is Maimouna Youssef, also known as Mumu Fresh, and I'm joined by my talented co-host, Sejahari Saulter-Villegas. And today we are very excited to speak to the multidisciplinary artist in every sense of the word, Lido Pimienta. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the New Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse nations, First Nations, Inuit, Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the New Credits.
Here at Arts Across America, we continue this spring with a focus on cultural leadership, public healing, exploring topics of racial sensitivity, economic equity, mental and physical health, land and water protection, and much more. Today, we will witness a performance by Lido, and we will have a conversation with her about so many things and really get into all the great things she's been doing.
Today's topic is normalizing being a mother in the music, intersectionality in arts, and multidisciplinary practices.
I have the honor of introducing my co-host, Maimouna Youssef, also known as Mumu Fresh, who is a critically acclaimed Afro-Indigenous singer, MC, songwriter, activist, workshop facilitator, and audio engineer, who's been called the quadruple threat by The Roots, Black Thought, and groundbreaking by Oscar-winning Common.
And also thank you to my co-host, Sejahari, a playwright, a poet, an actor, a model, an activist. Sejahari Saulter-Villegas is a Blaxican, multidisciplinary artist from Chicago who's using his voice to uplift, to advocate for, and represent Black and Brown stories in theater, film, and fashion world. Welcome.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have the honor of introducing Lido Pimienta, a Toronto-based Colombian-born musician, interdisciplinary artist, and curator. She has performed, exhibited, and curated around the world since 2002, exploring the politics of gender, race, motherhood, identity, and the construct of the Canadian landscape in the Latin American diaspora and vernacular. Her latest album, Miss Colombia, takes her ecstatic hybridity to a new level, building on the new intersection of electronica and cumbia established by her first 2 albums, Color, released in 2010, and 2017's La Papesa, which won the Polaris Music Prize awarded to Canada's Best Album of the Year. Miss Colombia has only continued to grow Lido's presence, with the album garnering multiple award nominations, including a Latin Grammy nomination for the Best Alternative Music Album and a Grammy Award nomination for the Best Latin Rock, Urban, or Alternative Album. Produced with Matt Smith, aka Prince Nifty, Miss Colombia overflows with understated genius and continues to chart Pimienta's evolution into an independent woman and artist who refuses to fit into preconceived notions of what pop Latina artists ought to be. Shout out to Lido Pimienta. We're so excited to talk with you today.
I would like to start by asking you the question that people always ask me. It's cool to be on the other side of this here thing. How do you balance your artistic excellence, your drive and ambition with being a full-time mother of 3 beautiful children?
I have a schedule, a calendar. It comes very handy. I'm a visual person and I'm extremely organized. When you have children, it makes you prioritize, or it teaches you to prioritize the people that you have around, the things that you accept in your life. I think that because I've been doing this for quite a while now, like my earliest memories, I am making art. My commitment to art is like my commitment to breathing. So when it comes to creating, or when it comes to performing, when it comes to being a mother, which is at the top of my list, I just, like I'll take a wall in my house and then I'll draw with chalk and I'll make a giant calendar and I will write the things that I have to do. And I also write the things that I want, and that's it. Like I treat my career as a 9-to-5 job, only that my office, it's in an art studio or it's in a music studio. And, I wake up, I'm with my children, I go to work, and then around 5 and 6 p.m. I'm home, with my kids, and I get recharged. I'm very blessed because my partner in life is also an artist. So he also understands that, that my art is a living, breathing entity that also needs to be fed and also needs to be nurtured. And by doing that, I'm being nurtured too. So, it's important to have a partner in life that understands that knows that, your dreams and your visions are very important. And sometimes, artists, we are the butt of the joke because people don't understand that what we do is real. And in many ways, it's more real because it comes from, it's visceral, right? Like it comes from the inside, and then you express it. There's pain, there's emotion. It's you're not going to work to like write in a computer or like do what other people are telling you to do. It's you listen to your inner voice. So that's essentially how I'm able to do what I do at the capacity that I do, and with the prolific results because I live in abundance, mentally, physically, like I think about abundance, and I envision the things that I want and how I want to get there. So I commit to those things and how I want to do them, and that includes no toxic people around me, no like social climbers around me, people that want to get near me because it seems like I'm famous. She's like, actually, you can come to my house if you are willing to take out the garbage and help with the minding of the children. And like that's me. Like my friends, like when I have a show, like my friends know, like my real friends will never call me and be like, give me tickets to the show. I'm just like, I gave you a show last night. You were at my house last night. You saw the show, first row. So just like stuff like that.
following up with that question and the topic of motherhood, I wanted to know more about how motherhood shows up in your art or has influenced your art. If you could talk more about that, that'd be dope.
Well, that's an interesting question for two things, you know. I am an artist who happens to be a mother, and I am a mother who happens to be an artist, right? So I don't allow my my motherhood to stand in the way of my art, just like I don't allow my gender or my presentation or my racial ambiguity, you know, because when you're in North America, race, it's such a violent topic and it's so prevalent that I there are so many things that are so obvious about me when you see me and when I'm in person, and the energy that I command, that has nothing to do with being a mother. That comes after, right? So for instance, you know, when I'm in a room or when I'm in a performance, you know, people see, well, actually, when I'm in the room before the show, and because my name is not feminine sounding, people think that Lido is my baby daddy or the guy that's carrying my cables, because it ends with an O. And when people look at me, people see a little girl, right? Like, I look, in Spanish we say, or in Colombian slang, we call that come años, the girl who eats her years. So I eat my years, and it's by saying, like, I look very young, right? So of course, when you are brown, right, like when you are Afro descendant or indigenous descendant or many Asian or Asian descendant, you know, like, when you're brown adjacent, you will look young. And that's great, you know, but sometimes it's challenging because I want people to take me seriously, you know. At the same time, I don't want to have to dress old, right? So, and those are the things that when you're a mother, you are expected to, you know, dress like a mom, wear your hair like a mom, you know. And like when I first moved to Toronto and I would start taking my son to daycare, many times, you know, even the little kids at his school, they will be like, Lucian, your sister's here to pick you up, you know. And it was very anxiety inducing because I would have to, like, I would never want to move. I always made sure to stay in my same neighborhood, even if I had to share a house with like terrible roommates. I never wanted to move, because if I moved, then I had to change schools. If I had to change my son from his school, then I had to reintroduce myself into the community again. And my neighborhood is mainly white. And so, and like in like Eurocentric cultures, you know, people have children way older, right? So when I decided to be a young mom. I had my son when I was 21 years old, 20 years old. And that was a conscious decision. That's what I wanted to do. But when I was 20, I looked 13. Right? So people would be like, you are a teen mother. So I had all of that stuff. So that stuff stays with you because it's a negative connotation, you know, teen moms or young mothers. And so many times, you know, like I would be invited to do a talk at XY gallery or a university in the United States or here in Canada. And people would be like, oh, of course you're a mom. Of course. You're Latina. Of course. That's what your people does. And at the beginning, I would say, I would get really offended. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm going to enjoy my children for a long time. And I am going to be very young when they're still old. You, on the other hand, already look like you are on the last gear of your life. And I say it in my shows too. And this is, you know, why, like, with some people, like, they can't believe it. You have 3 kids, because humor, to me, it's such a important tool to make a point, to spit the facts, you know. So like when I'm, you know, many times when I'm in my show, like I'll do many things, you know, but like some of the, because I sing in Spanish, and but then you have a mainly Spanish speaking, English speaking audience, you know, I try to contextualize, you know. So I would say something like, well, yeah, you know, this song is about sending money back home. Oh, look at all the white people, they don't know what I'm talking about, ha ha ha, you know, or you know, just kind of like, you know, how old do you really think I am? You know, like, people are really surprised to hear that I am a mother of basically a teenager, you know, when I look like a teenager myself. But that's really good for me, and you should be happy about that. You shouldn't be alarmed by that, because colonized people, everything has been taken from us. At least let us look young. You can have the land, the jobs, the good credit, the opportunities, the freedom to walk around naked in the streets and not be shot by police, and also on top of that look young. No, you cannot. Let us have something, you know. So that's why, you know, to go back to your question, you know, it's just like, I am a mother who happens to be an artist, and I am an artist who happens to be a mother, you know. And just like the package doesn't really match the title, which is why for me it's so important to just normalize it. And I go to a show, I go to a festival, I don't care who's around me, I don't care if it's like a big show with like big celebrity musician or whatever. I am gonna show up with my kids, with my baby daddy's family, with his entire Nicaraguan family, with my entire Colombian family that are coming from Colombia to help me with my kids, because I will not pay a nanny that I don't know to watch my kids. I am bringing my mother and my grandmother, my aunties, to take care of my kids, and I'm going to pay them for it.
I understand. Like, I'm just over here smiling inside because it resonates so much. I was the same age when I had my son, and people would you know, walk by me and say, children having children, you know, like, what a statistic. And they didn't know I'm already Grammy nominated, I'm living on my own, like, I have a house, got a car, like, you know. But in their minds, I was like some kid who, you know, was being fast, and I don't know what kind of story they created in their mind for me. It just wasn't the truth, but it was their truth for me. They had already decided that. But I wanted to ask you about, I love the part when you were talking about normalizing motherhood. Like, that's something that's been very important to me, especially in the music industry. And I would like to know your take on this and what your experience has been, because I definitely feel like especially when my son was small, like bringing him to the gig, having him backstage, like people acted like, you know, I was an unfit parent for having him at a show. Like, why does, you know, and it's not like, it's no crazy environment. Like, it's just music. But it was really like now I'm starting to see people do it now. And it's kind of like almost, you know, it's celebrated a little bit more now. Yeah. But I feel like when my son was small, like people were definitely throwing me shade for having my son with me at the gig. I mean, sometimes he'd be on the side of the stage. Even sometimes I'd hold him while I was singing on stage because he didn't want anyone else to hold him. So like, what has your experience been with people's response to it? And how have you, I'm sure you've changed people's minds and their hearts and their spirits about being more open to family. Like, why are people so anti-family? Anyway, so that was a long comment.
I think that in North America, it starts with the children's table, right? I didn't know that was a thing until I moved to Canada, where my friends would invite me to their Thanksgiving. Again, we don't celebrate that back home. And there was a table for the children, and then there was a table for the elders. And I didn't understand that, because in my family, everyone sits together, and at every family gathering or every birthday party, it's many generations sharing the same space. So when I started bringing my son to my gigs, it wasn't a thing about, I am intentionally bringing my son and I am going to show everybody that you can do this. No, it wasn't about that. I actually expected that they were going to accommodate a child and someone that was going to help me with my kid. I expected to go into the green room and that there was a playpen and that there was some toys and that there was healthy snacks and like a blanket and like that's what I expected. And when I came to the green room and it was like a rinky dinky, just like, I was like, excuse me, do you not see the lineup outside? And this is how you welcome me? So slowly, you know, because also at the time when my son was still really little and I was starting to play shows in Toronto, I didn't have management. My management is fairly recent. Mm-hmm. And because I couldn't justify it, and I just and in Canada, it's very hard. It's another conversation, but I just didn't have a manager. And I started realizing when I was getting invited to the shows that I was the person that was bringing the most audience, but I was being presented as the opener. Mm. And I was also noticing that these bands that I have to open for, even though I'm giving them all this audience, were getting paid more than me. Mm. And on top of that, I have to bring my son and be uncomfortable and like anxious when I'm performing because I have to keep looking that my son is okay, you know? So I created a manager that existed only in my email. I created a new email and I signed it as Richard Ashcroft, which is the singer of a band called The Verb that was very popular in the, early 2000s or 90s. And so when people would wanted to get a hold of me, I would be like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to play your show. Talk to Richard. Forward the email. And then Richard, I would just like look like, how do British people talk? And this is a man, and this is a British man, and he just has 2 short sentences for you. It's going to be $5K, and we're going to need you to pay for the nanny, and we're going to need you to give us all of this plane tickets. Take it or leave it, you know?
Right.
And people were doing it. And I remember one of the festivals being like, wow, we've never had to pay for a child, for the child's ticket. Mm-hmm. And Richard wrote, well, if you want Lido, go ahead then. And then I just started asking for, so that became my standard to the point that I just had I had like a document where I just copy, paste, and send. And I would always like be like biting my nails, like, are they gonna bite? Are they gonna bite? And every single time, because another thing that I do is that I need to make sure that my show is excellent, right? Like, it's not just about, well, you had to do this for me because I'm a mother. No, I am an excellent artist, and I work really hard at it, and I'm gonna give you an experience. It's not, you're not gonna go see it. You're gonna see an experience. You're gonna live. You're gonna remember. It's gonna make you cry. It's gonna make you laugh. Like, it's gonna be beautiful, but you have to pay for it, you know. And you have so, and that's around that same time I started learning how to say no, right? Because to justify being away from my son, when he started getting a little older, I needed to justify that, you know. Yeah. And that's always scary, to say no to an opportunity. But it's good to say no, because that also helps you appreciate and learn your value, you know. And like, of course, as colonized and racialized people, the message has been the opposite. Yeah. You know, so it's like it's a process of constant unlearning and applying the lessons in that unlearning upon yourself, so that others in your community can see that, you know. And I feel like every year I just lose more and more people that were my quote unquote friends, but it's now it's something that I celebrate, you know. Before it was like mourning for me, like I would be mourning so much, and now it's a celebration when someone masks comes off, you know. It's just like, that's one less person that I have to worry about. That's one less person that is gonna take my energy from me, my ideas, you know. So yeah, that's one of the things.
Word. I just wanted to shout out the artist moms in this space, in this conversation, both Mumu and Lido. As a son of an artist mom, I just wanted to acknowledge like how dope of an impact y'all have on us, and the ways that y'all choose to raise us really influences the people that we are and that we become. So I'm grateful to be in this conversation with two artist moms and to have an artist mom myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But to switch gears a little bit, you're talking about Canada, and you talked about living in this white neighborhood, and I wanted to know more about Latinidad in Canada, because I feel like our American audience may not know much about that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no way of knowing about that.
Yeah.
Unless you live here,
Yeah.
unless you're in the community, you won't know about a Chinese community, a Latin community, you know, because, and this has to do with the core, I don't know, composition of Canada. When I talk about the construct of the Canadian landscape, in essence, what I'm saying is that Canada has wonderful, excellent PR, in where Canada portrays itself as a country like no other, a country that is communist but with the perks of capitalism. That it's a country that is liberal and that has a hot prime minister that does yoga and uses words like namaste. And that racism is not something that happens here because we're too busy being rich and skiing through the hills of the beautiful mountains and the snow and the deer and right. So like that is the picture. And that's why, you know, when Trump was at his peak comedy career, people would say so often, we need to move to Canada, you know. That shows you how good, how well oiled of a machine this country is, that people think that things are so fine and dandy here, you know. The one thing that Canada has over the United States, for instance, is that you get a health card, and when you need something, a procedure, an accident, whatever, that will be covered under this thing called OHIP. But everything else is the same, you know, like when white people kill indigenous people, there will be a GoFundMe with $2 million raised for the person that killed the native person. Right. You know, with COVID happening right now in Ontario, the response has been to empower the police. You know, it's very similar, right? Like our histories, the histories of colonization are the same. What changes is that Canada was colonized by the French and the English, you know? So that's why you don't know that there is a small mighty Latinx community, right? And I am a part of that. So another thing that happens is that Canada or the government, they decide immigrant groups where they are going to end up living. So for instance, the city that has the most Colombians is called London, Ontario. That's where I was advised and encouraged, motivated, ordered to live in when I first moved here with my family. So London, Ontario is also known as Londombia because of this. And so, or the many cities, they will have a most prevalent immigrant community that it will be known for. But of course, people, you know, move. I moved to Toronto. I'm making my life there. And there I know and collaborate with, and I'm very friendly and inspired by the Latinx community in Toronto that are, you know, forming theaters and shows and clubs, you know, that are small but that are there. Maybe my son's generation will make sure that we know that there is more to Canada that we see, you know. And the media, of course, it just has such a hold on cultural currency, you know, and what gets to be seen, and who's donating and who's giving you the money to get the shows developed, to get the things developed, you know. So I try to be a part of that, right? And that's why I haven't moved to the States yet, you know. And like the many times at my label, they'll tell me, move to Los Angeles, and I'm like, I know that it probably would be something really good for me, but I cannot yet again start another journey. I have to stay here and I have to make it work, and it's exhausting and it's frustrating, but this is where I need to be right now. And if I'm gonna go anywhere else, it's gonna be back to Colombia, baby. Like I'm just mastering the clap back to the Canadians when they tell me to go back to my country. I gotta learn the trappings and the nuances of moving to the United States. Too much.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with us, Lido.
Amazing.
We're so grateful. It was some great bars, some great knowledge that was exchanged here. And now we are going to transition into a performance by the one and only Lido Pimienta.